Yeah, I was reading Duane's book where in one experience he's talking to the influence who comes to him at the beach. I think it's Blue Sky Beach, and she comes in a bikini, and Duane makes a joke that maybe he should call the astral police on her, and then he sort of giggled a little bit, and she like laughs and says that she's something like the wind, and she goes, "Why are you teasing me like this?" Well, when I was reading that part, I I got this strange idea, and I just paused the scenery, and I have to admit that reading Duane's book, I can imagine really easy. Usually, it's really hard for me to imagine, but I can imagine really easy with his book and the way he describes things. So I paused that part where he's talking to her because I got the idea, because I could see the whole beach and her and him in my imagination. It's really easy. Somehow his book brings out that I could see that really clearly. And I paused it, and I got the idea to invite the Lords of Karma on her. And so I brought in like maybe 4 or 5 Lords of Karma to surround her, but I didn't know what was going to happen if I did that because I thought, oh, she was probably going to just disappear and leave, or she was probably going to do something to them. I don't know. But when I invited the Lords of Karma to surround her in that particular instance, all of a sudden she turned into like a liquid ash. I never seen liquid ash before, but that's the closest that I could describe what I saw in my imagination. I thought that was strange. I wasn't expecting her to turn into liquid ash. Anyway, she turned into liquid ash and then just dissolved and disappeared. But then I got the thought, why don't the uh, why don't the Lords of Karma stop the mental supervisor? But it was just a thought or question. But I kept reading the book, and about 2 or 3 chapters later, I find out that sometimes the Golden Guides will invite the Lords of Karma. I was like, oh my goodness. Well, if they do that, because I just thought it was just imagination game that I was thinking, but I was shocked that the Golden Guides will sometimes invite the Lords of Karma to fix something. But I'm wondering, why haven't the Golden Guides, or have they invited the Lords of Karma for the mental supervisor that has been tormenting human beings for millions of years? I was kind of curious about that. If there's any, because that's Duane's book, I was wondering if he could maybe answer that.
Hi, Ramone. Yes. Well, it's all free will. And yes, there are things going on all the time in negotiations, just like here, etc. And, it takes a lot of agreement. Besides, the Lords of Karma are political, is what they are. They're political. And the influence is part of the consciousness. She's not really part of anything. She's just in the consciousness. She's created out of the consciousness, like the supreme deceptor, etc. And they just follow suit according to the consciousness. And so, it's like writing vibrations, you might say, and certain people write certain vibrations or frequencies or flows, or it's the old spirit idea, etc. But Lords of Karma, yeah, well, they have free will. Everybody has free will, no matter what. Just like, political people, they swear to office, but they have free will. They do whatever they want. They really do, for the most part, never align themselves with what they're sworn into, do they? No, not at all. And so it's all about being real. So the real guys need agreement. They set up situations, they suggest things, etc. And so if they really want something, you know, just like this, the new presentation, then it's created and it's, you know, it's supported, it's managed, whatever, it's maintained. But in that situation there, that was something that you decided, you know, just like when I referred to calling the police or whatever, which was just kind of a joke, because that wouldn't mean anything, because again, she can just vanish because she's just a wisp of the wind in creation. You see, that lots of times is the spirits or whatever that people get when they're doing mediumships or they have certain experiences and they refer to it as spirits. Lots of times just the influence. You know, and again, it just depends upon the person and how open and what they are open to, etc., and what their intent is. There's a whole lot with it. Yeah. Yeah, so it's the books are a hint to something. It gives people something to start with, and yes, they all came out very good. Need a little more editing in them, but they all came out very good. All very different, and gave a lot of variety. And so, and as the years have went by, we're into the impact age because now everything is showing up. It's all becoming impact. And it's very, very real. And for the most part, most people can't see it because they don't want to see it. They want their la la land. They're going to try and hold on no matter what. And so that's their choice. They have that right. And again, it's not really getting rid of anything. Everything that's in creation is actually necessary. And so the best thing to do is to start something new. And this provides another option and a choice for people. They have the right to choose. They do. And so this makes it very interesting. And everything that's experienced here, whatever it is, whatever's created, that's what it is. That's what it is now. Take advantage of it, you know. But it's not going to be to the best advantage if you're going to protest or walk down the street with signs saying, I don't like this, get rid of the Fed or the government or whatever. That's not the idea, okay? We're not here to wipe out other people's creations because there's basically endless room in creation to create. But when you create a new position, you know, you take advantage of that, and that's where you learn too. So you need to see all sides. The biggest experience that we have here is to see what is not real, because you need that. You need something to relate to. Very, very important. Not about the good or bad or right or wrong. And even Paul went there. You know, the things that Paul did were, you know, very basic, and he was the babysitter at the time. And even diet, he talked about the cow foods and the egg foods and all that. See, again, you got the opposites. And it's not really like that. Creation is a big ball of clay, and you decide how to form your creation, your life, etc. accordingly. But the most important thing is to recognize this reality, not to see it. And so your experience there in the jungle is that you are in the opportunity. You know, you're seeing things, and when you're questioning it, you're still not recognizing it. See, it's not about questioning it. It's not about what it means, okay? That's like saying, well, what does the air mean that we're breathing? You see? Does that make sense? No, it doesn't, does it? Because you're breathing it. So it does make sense to recognize that you're breathing air. So that's the next step. And so there's a recognition that's possible there, but it's through choice, giving a lot of hints to this. But that recognition is very, very important, etc. And so, and just like your experience where you're being of light, yes, you are, but keep in mind that you're in creation and you can perform or project anything. Okay, that's projection. That's not the real you. Yes, we are beings of light, but it's a recognition. It's not something we imagine and create. It's a real recognition, and it's so much more real than anything created in creation. And even the light in creation is secondary light. It's mainly information and knowledge for the most part, or something created, hocus pocus or whatever, and you can scare off others. And someone had Kelsey's experience running, etc. Well, at that time, that's all Kelsey knew. And now, you know, I let people know you want to face it. You want to face everything because there's nothing to run from. Where are you running? Nowhere to run. You're just going to keep running. No, it's better to face it, and then it's okay because it's really nothing. And so, you know, even though they try to destroy you or whatever on the real side, here they can kill the body, but you know, they can't harm anyone actually. And Jeremy had that experience too, where he confronted some knuckleheads, and they just backed off. And that's all you have to do. So it's recognizing. Now we're into recognizing more so than mentalizing and just thinking and assuming. You see, in the spiritual path and whatever, it's all basically about thinking and assuming and belief and being literal, etc., according to the systems that have been created here. But the reality life is more so than the sun shining, and there's a true recognition there that's real. That's the best part. It's all alive, where everything in the simulator here is a simulation. Really, that's all it is, a house of mirrors. But we need it. It's very important, because I just wrote a group too. I don't know if I put it up yet. I think I did. I did put it up, and that is giving a little story about how this takes place and how we're all in the isness, and we eventually come into creation. So we create an identity here. We need this identity to relate to. And this automatically separates us, just like we were drops of ocean in this isness, like a drop in the ocean out there in the sea, but all of a sudden you pull that drop out and you label it. You know, you identify that drop. And each drop's a little different. And when that unaware soul comes through creation, eventually has enough experience to relate to, and then at some point decides that it wants to see more than just creation itself, then the real guides appear and start providing a real education, we'll say, to something else, until the individual, if the individual is persistent, you know, to earn its way to recognize that reality, aside from what it knew in creation. There is a huge difference. There is a real difference. And the two are not the same, even though they can look similar, to where the created part seems so real, and the reality life seems like a dream and unreal. That is because it doesn't coincide to the five bodies and the personal self, so it seems unreal to it. Because it's its own reality, you need to identify it as its own reality, not something that you think you know or you've heard or through ancient wisdom or any of these things. None of that has to do with any of it, or spirit or spiritual, all these things. These are all labels and ideas. That's all they are. That's literal. It's all been literal, not real. And so that's why the new language and everything else, to create new references instead of using the same old references that relate to old things. So this becomes the adventure. And one of Kevin's experiences too, where on the real side, he got a little frustrated because of the new language. But then again, so, you know, a lot of people do. They think it's strange what I'm writing. Well, okay, fine. Whatever. Just like Marion's experience of this Ekis, that I write funny stories talking about tap lining and reptilians, and there's no such thing. Okay, fine. It's your choice. You see, you can't convince anybody, because again, he's looking to the picture of Harry and you know, being tap lined by Joni, so he's fine with that. So again, everybody has free will, everybody has their choice. So you're on this big adventure, Ramone, so there's a hint for you. Have fun.